On the Contender series, Lebosiani gets the first round knockout head kick, which rocked his opponent, and then he knocked him out with a right hand. Cesario Lasijic got a TKO finish in less than a minute to get a UFC contract. Maldonado got a first round knockout in his fight to earn a UFC contract. McMillan and McGuigan went to war. McMillan showed a lot of heart surviving that first round. Two of the judges gave it to McMillan. One had it as a draw. McMillan gets a UFC contract. David McGuigan also got his win money on top of his show money.
I always tell you guys every Tuesday, please tell me, yeah, exactly. Tommy, tell me you saw this first fight on the Contender series. It is fucking crazy how nasty this fight was. His head was spun around the other way. I don't know if I've ever, other than Rose Namajunas getting dropped in her head and maybe a couple other times where somebody looks like they're getting spiked and, on their head and, in a scramble in wrestling. I thought somebody's head was going to fucking pop off like this kid tonight. He didn't tap. Unbelievable. The best show on television and the greatest thing you can do for yourself on a Tuesday night. If you missed the first fight, you got to go back and watch it at the end of the show. But, Shama, what's up, buddy? I'll see you soon.
The UFC Qatar card on November 22nd is added Alex Perez versus Asu Almabayev. That's in Doha. First visit for the UFC in Doha. Alex Perez, some people think this won't make the fight. 2 of his last 3 fights were canceled. He had a long stretch where he had 10 of 12 fights canceled, so that was pretty crazy. That November 22nd Qatar card is also added Alexander Topuria versus Beksat Almahan. Alexander Topuria, the brother of Ilya, is coming off his first win in the UFC by decision over Colby Thickness in his UFC debut. Beksat Almahan is a dangerous striker. He's coming off a 64-second knockout over Brad Katona, recent knockout in his last performance. Charles Johnson, fresh off a knockout win over Loney Kavanaugh, was offered a fight against Steve Erceg in November on the Madison Square Garden card, and he accepted that fight, but he said Steve Erceg declined it because he's getting married. Erceg is coming off a win over Ode Osborne, faced some adversity early, but pulled through with the decision win. A month out from Nurmagomedov versus Hughes 2 for the lightweight world title. The rematch Friday, October 3rd in Dubai. Also on that card is Zubeda Tukagov versus Artem Labov. A fight 6 years in the making. Supposed to happen in the UFC 6 years ago, but happens now in the PFL. TKO extends its partnership with the T-Mobile Arena through 2030, so the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas is going to host 6 events annually, including 4 featuring UFC and 2 showcasing WWE. The next UFC pay-per-view is at the T-Mobile Arena, UFC 320 October 4th. That is headlined by Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight title. You also have another title fight in the bantamweight division between Murad Dvalishvili and Corey Sandhagen. Both good fights, but we just saw Ankalaev versus Pereira, and Murad's a pretty big favorite to beat Sandhagen, likelihood to win a unanimous decision. Nonetheless, good fights. Some of the undercard fights might even be more interesting. Prochazka versus Roundtree, that's going to be a highly exciting fight. Piper versus Magomedov will also be a pretty interesting fight. Yusuf Zalal versus Josh Emmett might be a cat-and-mouse situation. In his last fight, Yusuf Zalal against Calvin Kattar looked pretty tremendous for a round and a half. Then he just decided to sprint away from Kattar the entire time, so that was really weird. He might try a similar strategy against Emmett. But if Zalal does fight that way, it might piss off the UFC and not give him good opportunities in the future. But if he does win this fight, he'll move up 1 spot in the featherweight rankings. Emmett is number 8, Zalal 9. Jean Silva's number 10, but he's actually fighting number 2 next weekend, Diego Lopez. That's a huge opportunity for Jean Silva. He's actually the favorite in this fight, so that's kind of interesting. I think Diego Lopez is a decent underdog bet. He's so good in every aspect of the game, from the striking, the wrestling, grappling. He just went 5 rounds with Alex Volkanovski, the champ and arguably the greatest ever in the featherweight division. So he has that 5-round championship experience where Jean Silva does not. And Lopez is number 2 for a reason. He's really good. He also has fought better competition. He fought number 1, Mosar. He fought the champ, Volkanovski. And there isn't much of an age gap either. Lopez is 30, Silva's 28. So similar ages. It's not like it's a young phenom taking on like an old grizzled vet. But Lopez has fought so much. He has so much experience, 33 fights over 13 years. So I don't know if Jean Silva is going to bring anything to the table that's going to phase Lopez. So if it goes the distance, I could see Lopez taking at least 3. JDM thinks Islam Makhachev's striking style may be a little bit easier to adapt to than Bilal Muhammad's due to Makhachev's more traditional and consistent stance, as opposed to Bilal Muhammad, who has a more dynamic approach with his striking. But it may just come down to whether he can stuff that takedown or get back up if he gets taken down.
I mean, it's just I think he's like Makhachev is a better version of Bilal. I think his striking on the feet is I think it's more. I even think it's an easier. The striking on the feet, I think it's easier than Bilal because he'll stay in one stance. He's more traditional style. But yeah, he's the pound for pound number one. So it's a tough fight. But I guess we'll just watch all these fights again, make a solid game plan, and then just start working at it. From pretty much now, I'm going to start working on ways to beat him, different ways to get back to my feet, stuff in the takedown. But I'm pretty confident I can get this one done.
Anthony Furlafy Hernandez over a 2-1 favorite against Rainier Dritter for their fight next month. It's like a clash of pressure and size. Hernandez built a reputation on that suffocating pace, chain wrestling, endless pressure that breaks down a lot of opponents, including Roman Dolidze in his last fight. He shows how dangerous he can get when he's mixing in takedowns, clinch strikes, constant forward movement until his opponent folds. Dritter, he brings a different look, larger frame, former double champ in one, polished grappler, slick jiu-jitsu, and he thrives when he can control the fight on the mat. Maybe RDR tries to diminish the gas tank of Anthony Hernandez or stop him with those knees to the body, which are a very dangerous weapon. The question is whether he can handle Hernandez's wrestling and cardio. If Dritter gets on top early, his size and submission threats could make it a very successful night for him. But if Hernandez can stuff takedowns and keep a high pace and drag Dritter into deep waters, he may be able to overwhelm him down the stretch. Stylistically, grinder versus technician. Hernandez banking on attrition and pressure, and Dritter on control and leverage. Austin Bashi versus Jamal Emmers confirmed for November 8th. Bashi's 23, Jamal Emmers is 36, so 13-year age gap between the two. Jamal Emmers' striking game has been on point lately. His last two victories are by first-round knockout. Probably makes sense for Austin Bashi to take the fight to the ground. He can strike, but that's his bread and butter. The ground game, last two wins are by rear naked choke. He is really good with the rear naked choke. 4 of his last 6 victories are by RNC. Craig Jones Invitational had a confusion in the finals with the scoring, so Team New Wave also gets $1 million prize. Investors' decision, not mine. I don't agree, is what Craig Jones says. Some women felt more money should have been allotted to the women on the card. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great New Wave got paid the $1 million, but Craig Jones said there wasn't money for the women's brackets, but they messed up. They dropped the money on men to save face. That's 300K women's divisions right there. Then they threw 50K sub bonuses, not for the women. Craziest thing is the women had the most exciting performances, exciting moments this weekend. I'm just saying what the people are thinking.
Most importantly is that it was an absolutely historic event. It is so true that women have not been paid $100,000 for a 4-person bracket. It was a really, really cool thing to come to life. It's super exciting. It's really, I think, indicative of where we are going as a sport. And it was a game-changing moment. So freaking cool. That being said, just because something's amazing doesn't mean you don't ask questions or wonder or have criticisms. Like, you can have, they're not mutually exclusive. You can be excited about something and think it's great and also ask questions. And I think that that is literally how CJI was born and marketed last year, around the idea that ADCC did not pay people enough. And if you look at what changed in the pay for the women at ADCC, it was basically because of Craig and Fion's drama that they conjured up online about that and made it happen. So it's the same time.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and share, and turn on notifications so you will see future notifications of videos. And if you want to donate, you can be a super thanks.